Imagine waking up to the howling wind, where the world outside is so unwelcoming, it pins you behind doors for months at a time. Picture a place so remote that everyday conveniences become logistical nightmares, and the economic strain is as palpable as the cold that seeps into your bones. I'm about to take you to one of the harshest and most isolated locations in the United States, Alaska. Here, the daily hurdles go beyond daunting weather to encompass geographic isolation, economic barriers, and the stark realities of coexisting with nature. Many have romanticized life on this frontier, but few understand the depth of its challenges, from restricted healthcare to limited educational prospects and beyond. Why do some brave these impediments, while many others retreat? Before we venture any further into the beautiful yet frozen heart of the last frontier, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay with us as we count down the stark and often overlooked complexities of living in Alaska that make or break the resolve of the most hardened souls. Join us on Globe Trekking, the channel that brings the world, with all its wonders and trials, right to your doorstep. Let's get started. Number 10. Harsh weather conditions. Imagine a land where the winter howls with sub-zero temperatures for half the year, a place where frostbite can occur within minutes and cars become as stubborn as the frozen ground they stand on. This is the bitter reality of Alaska's fierce climate, where mercury plummets and brings life to a standstill. Residents clad in layers upon layers, bracing against the bitter cold that seeps into every home and challenges even the sturdiest of heating systems. But the frigid temperatures are only part of the struggle. As daylight becomes a fleeting luxury during the winter months, the psychological battle commences. The endless darkness looms over Alaskans, with the sun barely cresting the horizon before retreating, turning midday into twilight and testing the mental fortitude of even the hardiest souls. Vitamin D lamps and the cherished sunrise alarm become vital for fighting the seasonal affective disorder that threatens to cloud minds as much as the skies. It's a relentless grind against the elements, where the physical and mental toll weighs heavily. Warming vehicles in advance, shoveling snow taller than a person. These aren't just chores, they're survival tactics. The daily grind of extreme weather pushes many to the brink, reshaping routines and redefining what it means to persevere. Alaska's harsh weather isn't just a meteorological fact, it's a crucible, forging resilience in those who dare to call this frozen frontier their home. Number 9. Geographic isolation. Spanning over 663,300 square miles, Alaska's immense landmass presents a stark contrast to its skeletal transportation infrastructure. Grappling with the sheer expanse of this frigid wilderness, residents contend with a limited network of roads and public transit systems. This infrastructure paucity dictates a reality where traversing the state isn't just a journey, it's an odyssey flavored with unpredictability and challenge. The logistical gymnastics required for travel and supply delivery amplify the state's remoteness, inevitably inflating the cost of basic necessities. Whether it's a pint of milk or a vital machine part, the ripple effects of Alaska's seclusion are felt in every inflated receipt and prolonged wait time. This economic strain weighs heavily on Alaskan inhabitants, tethering them to a harsh financial reality that few beyond its borders could fathom enduring. Yet despite the practical trials, the yearning for a sense of connection endures. The internet age has not bypassed the Alaskan desire for digital camaraderie. But here too, the dream of connectivity grapples with the stringent grip of isolation, the reality being a spotty internet connection at best, reminding residents that solitude isn't just a state of mind, it's an encompassing Alaskan way of life. The enchanting lure of privacy and distance battles constantly with the human instinct for community and contact, molding a dichotomy unique to the Alaskan experience. Number 8. Soaring cost of living. The last frontier may be rich in natural splendor, but for those seeking to make a life here, the economic barriers are as towering as the state's majestic Denali. The high cost of living in Alaska is a cold reality for its residents, as the vast majority of consumer goods are imported. These items make a long trek north, crossing great distances, which significantly inflates their price tags. This burden hits the wallets of Alaskans hard, as they pay premium prices for essentials. From milk that's pricier than liquid gold, to fuel costs that burn through savings as fiercely as the midnight sun in summer. In this land of extremes, the job market is just as unforgiving as the climate. Opportunities are scarce, heavily concentrated within the volatile realms of oil extraction, commercial fishing, and seasonal tourism. Young professionals and average American families often find these fields unaligned with their skills or incompatible with year-round employment, leaving many in precarious financial positions. Dreams of Alaskan adventures are thus often ensnared in the harsh trappings of economic reality. For the average American considering the move, the picturesque postcard vision of Alaska might quickly dissolve into the harsh financial impracticality of everyday life. The unrelenting high costs wreak havoc on idealistic notions of frontier living, presenting an insurmountable chasm between the desire for wild, open spaces and the ability to afford them. Life here demands not just resilience, but also a considerable bank balance, often rendering the Alaskan dream an unsustainable myth for many. Number 7. Braving Alaska's towering predators. In the wild expanse of Alaska, living side by side with nature's giants isn't just a possibility, it's a daily reality. Residents share their untamed backyard with formidable predators like bears and wolves, an encounter that's as thrilling as it is terrifying. While tourists flock to Alaska for a glimpse of these majestic creatures, locals know the dangers of such proximity. Stories of close encounters and dangerous wildlife lurking just beyond the fence line are not just tales to Alaskans. They are everyday occurrences that shape their very existence. The hazards presented by such wildlife encounters cast a long shadow over the lives of those who dwell in the last frontier. Homes must be fortified, children educated on safety practices, and every outdoor activity planned with the utmost caution. The beauty of a bear sighting is swiftly tainted when it occurs on your front porch or at the local playground. And as wolves howl in the distance, the sound sends a chilling reminder that humans are not the only, nor the most fearsome inhabitants of the great northern wilderness. Yet despite this harsh reality, the allure of Alaska's wildlife continues to seduce the adventurous spirit. The romanticized image of coexisting with nature is a powerful draw, but one that comes with the weight of dire risks. In Alaska, the dream of living freely amid soaring eagles and roaming moose confronts a paradox. The more one seeks the solitude of the wild, the more critical it becomes to acknowledge, respect, and navigate the grim realities of predation. Number 6. Limited healthcare access. In the sprawling wilderness of Alaska, medical facilities are as scarce as the sun in December. Residents often find themselves hundreds of miles away from the nearest hospital, with specialist care as elusive as the northern lights. The dearth of healthcare services in remote areas isn't just inconvenient. It's a critical gamble with life and limb. The stark challenges to emergency medical services exacerbate the situation. When a medical crisis strikes, time is of the essence, but in the unforgiving expanses of the last frontier, aid is a grueling journey away. Helicopter airlifts and small emergency planes become the lifelines for those in dire need, where the weather and geography conspire to delay the race against time. Living far from comprehensive health care is one of the most sobering realities of Alaskan life. It's a risk that looms over every resident like the ever-present threat of an avalanche. For expectant mothers, accident-prone adventurers, or individuals with chronic conditions, this isolation can transform an already daunting landscape into an unforgiving hinterland where the promise of survival can be as brittle as the ice underfoot. Number 5. Educating Alaska's far-flung children. In the scattered and secluded homesteads across Alaska's vast wilderness, the pursuit of education poses a complex challenge. A scarcity of school buildings in the most isolated areas forces families to make tough decisions. Homeschooling becomes the norm rather than the exception, and while some parents are adept at guiding their children's studies, others struggle without the formal training and resources typically provided in established educational institutions. The absence of traditional classrooms extends beyond academic implications. It deprives children of social interaction and extracurricular activities that foster well-rounded development. The repercussions for Alaska's youngest denizens are profound, with educational development taking a different trajectory compared to peers in less remote locales. Opportunities for hands-on learning about the natural world can provide rich, unparalleled experiences. However, the lack of structured learning environments may leave gaps in standard educational milestones, putting Alaskan children at a potential disadvantage in higher education and competitive job markets. As the digital age progresses, the disconnect widens, creating a gulf between those who have full access to the educational tools of the 21st century and those who do not. For families braving the Alaskan dream, the value of knowledge and schooling often stands at odds with their desire to live harmoniously with nature. In an environment where surviving the elements is a lesson in itself, the conventional path of education can seem less critical. Yet the stark reality remains. In choosing this remote way of life, parents weigh the benefits of wilderness wisdom against the formal education that's readily available elsewhere. It's a decision that bears long-term consequences for their children's futures and one that underscores the broader sacrifices made by those who settle in the demanding Alaskan landscape. Number 4. Staying connected in Alaska's digital deserts. Imagine a life where buffering videos, disconnected calls, and the dreaded no internet icon are not just minor inconveniences, but a daily reality. For many Alaskans living outside the urban hubs, the digital age feels like a distant echo. The frigid beauty of America's last frontier comes at the cost of reliable access to internet and modern communications that most of us take for granted. Satellite connections burdened with latency issues and painfully slow speeds turn the simplest online tasks into a test of patience. But the scarcity doesn't end in the digital realm. Alaskans often face the absence of something even more fundamental: ready access to grocery stores and basic shopping needs. In the sprawling wilderness where next-door neighbors are often miles apart, a quick run to the store is a concept as foreign as the tropical sun. Residents must plan meticulously, traveling long hours, sometimes by small aircraft, just to restock pantry essentials or obtain household supplies. And when something runs out unexpectedly, there's no corner store to come to the rescue. Amidst the rustling of the great Alaskan forests and the whispering auroras, there's the soft sigh of longing for the understated luxury of urban comforts. Everything from fresh produce to running into a friend in a cafe aisle is a rare occurrence. This scarcity shapes the Alaskan way of life, where adaptability isn't just an admirable trait, but a sheer necessity for survival. In Alaska, the true value of the everyday convenience of city living emerges not from abundance, but through its absence, reminding us how much we depend on the ready supply of life's little amenities. Number 3. Anchoring Alaska's dwindling population. Alaska's wild frontier has long captured the imagination of those seeking the beauty and solitude of its expansive landscapes. But the shimmering glaciers and majestic wildlife aren't always enough to keep the residents tethered to this rugged land. To combat the state's population ebb, the government has dangled financial carrots like the Alaska Permanent Fund Dividend, a yearly payout to residents sourced from oil revenue. Yet, as enticing as free money sounds, many question the true effectiveness of such incentives. Do they genuinely anchor people to the last frontier, or are they a fleeting consolation amidst the manifold hardships? This is where the tightrope walk of policies comes into play. trying to balance population control with developmental strategies. Alaska's uniqueness stems from both its vast, untamed environment and the small, resilient communities that dot its expanse. The challenge for policymakers is profound: how to foster a thriving community without compromising the wild spirit of the land. The tension between preserving the raw essence of Alaska and the need for human progress is palpable. Residents bristle at the thought of their untouched wilderness being scarred by development, yet some advancements are necessary for societal benefits. Lastly, Alaska's reluctance to evolve in certain sectors has sparked debate over whether this stems from a steadfast commitment to preservation or a failure in progressive thinking. The state's prolonged underdevelopment in infrastructure and public services is often viewed as a policy misstep, one that leaves Alaskans wrestling with the impracticalities of everyday life in such a place. It's a stark reminder that, while independence and self-reliance are celebrated, these virtues must be carefully weighed against the sacrifices they demand. Number 2. Preserving Alaska's pristine wilderness. Within the vast expanses of Alaska's wilderness, countless areas of unspoiled beauty remain untouched thanks to state and federal laws designed to protect the environment. Grand national parks and reserves stretch across the landscape, providing sanctuary for diverse wildlife and preserving the natural majesty for future generations. This commitment reflects a deep recognition of nature's intrinsic value and the importance of ecological balance. Yet these large swathes of protected land also stand at the crossroads of intense debate, where the sanctity of pristine nature contends with the human impulse to exploit resources for economic gain. The controversy at the heart of Alaska's natural resource management pits environmental preservation against the pressure for development and exploitation. On one side, conservationists argue that the state's vast reserves of oil, minerals, and timber should remain untapped, prioritizing ecosystem health and the fight against global warming. On the other, proponents of resource exploitation point to the potential economic benefits, with the added lure of energy independence and job creation. This clash of ideologies not only shapes the state's environmental policies, but also stirs emotions and discourse on a national scale, embodying the complex relationship humans have with their environment. At the crux of this debate is the quest to minimize the human footprint in one of the last great frontiers on Earth, an endeavor fraught with controversy and divergent perspectives. Advocates for minimizing human impact underscore the need for stringent protections and limited interventions to maintain the purity of Alaska's ecosystems. Critics, however, question the practicality of such an approach, citing the necessity of development for human advancement and the challenges of living sustainably in such a harsh and remote area. This ongoing debate underscores the delicate balance that must be struck between nurturing human civilization and preserving the splendor of the natural world. It's a debated necessity, emblematic of the broader global struggle to reconcile human needs with environmental stewardship. Number 1. Sociocultural dynamics. Within the vast and rugged expanses of Alaska, indigenous communities hold fast to a right that is as ancient as the land itself: the right to live in isolation. For these cultures, the profound connection to the Alaskan wilderness transcends mere existence. It's a relationship steeped in tradition, spirituality, and survival. Fishing, hunting, and foraging aren't simply lifestyle choices, but the threads woven into the fabric of their identity. The preservation of these practices is paramount, serving as a bulwark against the encroaching tide of modernity. Yet these long-standing ways of life meet the irresistible force of urbanization head-on. Roads, infrastructure, and industry creep closer, heralding change that is both welcomed for its conveniences and dreaded for its consequences. To many, this expansion symbolizes progress, promising education and economic opportunity. To the indigenous people, it often brings an upheaval of generations-old norms, a disruption to the intricate balance of their ecosystem, and the dilution of ancestral customs. The narrative becomes one of adaptation, resilience, and, inevitably, the loss that accompanies transformation. The irony of the Alaskan dream is as stark as the state's landscapes. In the pursuit of individualism and self-reliance, many find that survival in Alaska's remote wilderness demands a collective effort. The rugged image of a solitary frontiersman staking claims in the great last frontier often gives way to the reality that isolation can quench the human spirit's thirst for community and fellowship. In the frozen heart of Alaska, the fantasies of unfettered freedom confront the unequivocal need for interdependence, reminding us that no person is an island, not even in the land of the midnight sun. As we wrap up this journey through the monumental challenges of living in Alaska, we're reminded that the allure of pristine wilderness and the promise of adventure are often tempered by the gritty realities of daily survival. It's a profound testament to the human spirit and our ability to adapt, but also a sobering acknowledgement of the trade-offs that come with embracing such an extreme lifestyle. The relentless battle with harsh weather, geographical solitude, and economic constraints paints an unforgiving picture of life in the far north. Yet, despite these obstacles, the narrative is enriched by stories of resilience and community bonds formed in the face of adversity. For every tale of hardship, there's one of remarkable solidarity, showcasing the unwavering determination of those who call Alaska home. For many, the idyllic image of coexisting with nature is unavoidably marred by the looming threats to safety and well-being. From the scarcity of educational resources to the stark limitations on healthcare access, the enormity of sacrifice is palpable. The juxtaposition of environmental conservation efforts with the necessity of human development raises questions about our relationship with the planet and the lengths we'll go to preserve its integrity. At its core, the struggle in Alaska reflects the broader human condition, a perpetual balancing act between growth and preservation, society and solitude, survival and well-being. The irony of the Alaskan dream, steeped in the desire for liberty and self-sufficiency, is that it often leads to a deep reliance on the support and companionship of others. So, whether you're inspired by the tales of those braving the last frontier or content observing from the coziness of your urban sanctuary, remember to subscribe to Globe Trekking for more stories that challenge, entertain, and perhaps even inspire you to make a journey of your own. Stay tuned as next week we venture into the heart of Alaska's natural wonders, exploring the grandeur of its untouched landscapes and the enchanting secrets they hold.